Welcome back to the New Life Recap, your weekly roundup of comings and goings on the New Life server. This week, a light sweeps its brief flare, a darkness is sealed at a price, and someone speedruns his own kind of closure. Got it? Then let's go! Scott has been freed from his doll's curse and returns as a Lightmancer. This new life comes with an array of light-based abilities, like turning into a flying spark and shooting a cleansing beam that's almost too strong.
Oh! That's a snare thing. Now it didn't say anything about it, killing people, so, I don't know if that's really my fault, you know?
He does get weak in the dark, though, and while he can fly, he still gets hurt when he falls. Scott uses his new light powers to clean up the growing patch of skulk in front of his house. No offense meant to Sparrow, but it's not exactly HOA approved. To share some of his light with the server, Scott decides to build himself a lighthouse, a beacon of brightness shining across the sea, and it seems to have summoned a Sparrow. Scott's excited to catch up with his skulky friend, even if they're both a bit different since they last met. Scott's made of light now, and Sparrow seems worried, or worrying.
Oh, okay. Just you become a light guy, and suddenly I'm not allowed to be up here. I have to go back down where it's dark and wet.
No,
and
I just said I didn't need it right next to my house.
With the discovery of the skulk patch erasure, their reunion turns sour fast. In a panic, Scott uses his light snare to capture Sparrow and flees quickly to his lighthouse. If he stays still, Sparrow can't see him, and Scott is safe, right?
Here!
Owen.
Right, that's it.
What? What do you mean that's it, Owen? What are you doing, Owen? Stop!
I don't need a knife to kill you, Scott. I'm a hybrid too, you know. I can
Owen,
do
I'm gonna
things
die.
that you can't.
What are you doing? Oh.
Wrong. Sparrow's story picks up inside the mind of the Warden, a place known as the Other Side. In here, he has no powers, and so he carefully picks his way through, disabling shriekers that might alert whatever danger lurks in the mind of a monster. In a central shrine, Sparrow finds memories themselves, and finally learns the full and terrifying truth he's been searching for.
That's what the gate is for? It's just a parasite. That's all it is. That's all any of it ever is. It just feeds off of other things.
Breaking out of the Other Side, Sparrow kills the Warden he possessed and tries to teleport to Scott's place to warn the surface, but he lands instead on a remote beach in front of an overworld city. He's out of experience to try teleporting again, and briefly feels compelled towards murdering villagers to get it, before he shakes himself out of it and leaves. Something's messing with his head again. On the long journey towards home, Sparrow contemplates how much things have changed since his crash landing, and whether all his research into becoming a hybrid was worth it.
Sometimes I wish I was still a human. They've got company here, community. Look at what they've achieved together. I thought being a hybrid would be exciting, but it is, if anything, it's just lonely.
A temple appears in his path, and once again Sparrow's curiosity gets the better of him, delaying the journey to investigate the depths of the tomb. He manages to free the temple from its curse, and takes a photo on the throne before leaving. Yet another unfamiliar structure rises in the distance, the mythical Las Vegas. At this point, Sparrow's not even surprised at the monsters within. These people should really learn how to make less flammable death traps.
If I were to make an unfriendly city, full of people that would like to kill people that visit, I wouldn't make it out of wool and wood.
Sparrow starts recognizing how easily distracted he's become from his goal to warn someone, and flies directly to Scott's base instead of risking interference from the skulk through teleporting. He finally makes it, and asks Scott about Origins going rogue and controlling the hybrid's thoughts and actions. The whole mushroom thing was kinda like the skulk, right? And then Sparrow finds that Scott has gotten rid of the catalyst Sparrow left him as a gift, and the conversation turns for the worse. Is Sparrow and his origin not good enough for Scott? Is he a lesser hybrid just because he was once a human? Anger gives the skulk a foothold, and all thoughts of warnings fade as Sparrow once again speaks as the skulk.
I could kill you without a knife.
Why would you want to kill me?
Well, you seem pretty interested in getting rid of me. That skulk is me. That's who I am.
Scott blasts him with light, and rage takes over. Sparrow hunts down the Lightmancer, finding him by the sound of his loudly beating heart, and rips his mind to shreds. By the time Sparrow comes back to himself, it's too late. Scott is dead. Shaken and desperate, Sparrow returns to the ancient city. He is too far gone to save, but maybe the world isn't. Maybe he can do one thing right in the end. He writes a final journal, a warning to any who might repeat his mistakes, and leaves it outside the gate as a farewell.
This thing cannot be reasoned with. And neither can I. Which is why I've set this whole place to ignite like a tinderbox. I beg of you, do not open the gate. Let this be my tomb.
Surprise! It's a wild CPK! He's still kicking around, and doesn't like leaving loose ends, so he decides to see what was supposed to be in store for him by getting a bit too friendly with an iron golem. He gets punched into the next life, a shulk, a sturdy fellow with innate armor and a hidden inventory that stays after death. Except after death he wouldn't have the inventory anyways, and after the whole Rift Bender thing, Shulk feels a bit, well, dull. Got anything else, Mr. Golem? A Dullahan like he was in Afterlife? Now we're talking! CPK gets right to work turning his pigs into soul lantern fuel, and summoning a noble steed to ride into the night. And it's a speedy steed, flying over anything in its path, unstoppable, until it runs into powdered snow and gets stuck. Oh well, he can have another in a few minutes. In the meantime, CPK finds a polar bear cub with its mother stuck in a ravine, and he may be a headless horseman, but he's not a monster. Brushing off the ungrateful mother, CPK heads down into a catacomb, finding its twisting maze of tunnels a reminder that there is so much in life one can never see, and so one must make do with the time they have instead of chasing impossible unknowns. Though it's easier on a magical horse that doesn't die. Done with adventuring, CPK heads home to finally build a proper house, a snowy spruce wood shack. It may not be the most beautiful thing in the world, but this is the finale, so it's not like he's living in it. Speaking of, he's got one more life. And it ends back where it began for someone else. His final life is a hippogriff. Just like that hippo, Griff, who gave him a romantic flight back at the beginning of the server. How fitting. There's someone else who's been there from the beginning, the good old oceanographer, who's been trapped in the aquarium the whole time. CPK's been dying to know what a master oceanographer trades, but when a little birdie called the internet gives him the truth, he decides to set the man free instead. CPK takes to the skies, exploring his own freedom with wings, and finds an absolutely massive village just a brief glide away from his little one. Oh well, hindsight and all. Finally, he climbs into the setting sunlight, turns his nose to the ground, and embraces the spectator mode of the afterlife. It was a good run, folks. And that wraps up the past 2 weeks, and tentatively the series, here on New Life Recap. Yes, it seems like New Life is coming to a close, and while there may be some stories that come back to close themselves out, it feels like the right time to draw the curtains for now. Don't worry though, we'll cover any surprise updates as they happen, so like we have been, just a little more irregularly. We here at the Recap crew are incredibly grateful for everyone that's made this possible. Thank you to the creators for the time spent in this wonderful world, however brief. Thank you to the regulars who've been with us since the Empire's days. Thank you to the pinch hitters who came into a project at the last minute and made it better. And most of all, to all of you in the audience, now or in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see what we'll do next. Check out the contributors in the description below, and we'll see you all somewhere out there.